This is probably one of my favorite podcasts so far. It's very funny.
Welcome back to the OTR podcast. I'm your host and only host today, unfortunately, Caleb Graham. And we are here today. And before we get to our guest, I guess we should probably plug everything. Britt, do you have a camera today?
I do, but I look kind of dusty. All right.
Well, plug everything.
Okay.
So you got this.
Shop our merch.
Speak up. Too.
Shop our merch. OTRcast.shop.
Yep.
Listen to us on Spotify, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, Anchor. Is that a podcast?
Mm-hmm.
Anywhere you listen to your podcasts. OTR cast.
On
everything.
YouTube.
Yeah, and on YouTube too. Follow us on Instagram. OTR.pod.
Yep.
And then we have Facebook.
Yeah, OTR cast.
Yep.
Yeah.
Facebook too.
Good job.
I think we got it.
Yeah, so make sure you guys are hitting in stuff there. You can find, who's coming up, our guests that are coming up on Facebook and Instagram usually. YouTube's obviously going to be where you get to watch us when we're doing stuff. You get to interact with the people.
Go on YouTube.
Right, YouTube's the cool one. Subscribe. And then also, if you just want to listen, if you're working, if you're in the car, whatever it is, Spotify, Apple, all those things, you got them. But with us today, we have a very special guest. Mr. Reynovate himself. And now don't be confused. It's not Trevor's doppelganger. We've got another certified personal trainer in the house.
That is correct. Certified personal trainer, nutritionist, strength and conditioning coach, whole bunch of other stuff that I'm blanking on right now.
Oh gosh, well that's fine. We'll get into it. I'm sure we've got all the time in the world. But you messaged me. I was like, yeah, that'd be great to have you on. And now, recently, I know. When did you launch? You guys launched it together, didn't you? You and Angela?
Correct. Yes.
When did you launch Reynovate?
So we launched right after Christmas.
Okay.
But we didn't start taking clients until January 1st.
Gotcha. And what exactly do you guys do?
So we are certified personal trainers, nutritionists. We help people achieve their health and fitness goals, whether that's through gym workout programs, home workout programs. The main thing that we coach from a nutrition perspective is macro counting. So that's something that she and I have both found a lot of success in, and we want to make sure that we're helping as many people that we possibly can.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I know this is one of the ones I was hoping Trevor would be here for.
Trevor.
Because he also does some personal training. He's
Hold on. Wait.
Excellent.
Time out though.
Oh.
Have we met before?
I don't know.
I think we met before.
We probably met
at
at the wedding show.
At a wedding show.
Yes, we did do the wedding show.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought. As soon as he said Angela, I was like, I remember this name.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, you've met him.
Yeah,
there
that's
you go.
what I thought.
But
Look at me retaining information.
wow, that's a new.
That's a big step for me.
But no, so we're glad to have you. And we've heard I follow you guys on Facebook and look at some of your stuff. And now, is that in-person training? Is that online? Is it mixed? Is it whatever you do? So
as of right now, we are just on the remote side.
Okay.
Don't know what the future holds, obviously, but as of right now, just remote. We have our own personalized app experience, which is really cool. That's in the final stages of being developed and checkboxed from our standpoint. So you would actually go into the Apple Store and download a Reynovate Fitness app, which I don't know why that's so cool, man, but
that is really cool
at the same time.
Well, and I think it makes it easy on people that want a trainer, want that experience, but don't want to necessarily have to go in at certain times or have to say, hey, I can't go today. It's like just you're there when you're there. You got your workouts and that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
And it's still local, which is kind of nice to this area.
And that's the big thing whenever we started this whole company was that we wanted to have a local presence. We're members of the Chambers of Commerce. We're involved in a lot of the little leagues from the Shenandoah side because that's where our boys go to school.
Gotcha.
What was really cool from the Guernsey County or Guernsey Noble Little League this year, we were actually one of their sponsors, and they got us this big baseball with Reynovate Fitness on there and hung it in the outfield. I was a huge baseball player growing up, so that was just one of my moments of I've made it,
right,
so to speak.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. And then now with all this, what made you decide to do it?
So I think the biggest thing was that Angela and I had this knowledge and these certifications, and we were progressing for ourselves, but we saw an opportunity to help other people. And with everybody wanting to, I think it's a universal trait with people to want to be healthier. And we saw it as being in a situation to where if we have this ability to help people, we are obligated to do so.
Yeah.
Right. So from that standpoint, we're continuing our education processes. We're always trying to learn the best, whether it's split training from a training program or different ways to utilize macronutrition to take advantage of. That's absolutely, we want to continue to do that and progress.
Right. And I know, like, with what I do, well, not this, but in the gym, rather. What are you laughing about? She said the gym. What?
I'm just giggling.
Why?
Don't mind me.
Okay.
I'm in a mood, you know?
Sure. I mean, that's better than crying.
Yeah,
sometimes
that's
she
true.
walks in here crying.
That's true.
It's good. But no, I know, like, with what I've gone through, you know, I kind of just took it upon myself to work out. And then Trevor, I trained with him for a while. Got to a point where I was feeling good. I still do CrossFit here and there. It's mixed, you know, whatever it is. Outside of that, though, I know for me, it was more of a, like, there was a moment for me where I was like, I want to get in shape because I wasn't doing anything. And even on that side, I can vouch from a client side, it was nice because I was doing CrossFit for probably 2 years before I really started hanging out with Trevor.
Excellent.
And then when I met him, he's like, yeah, I train. And, you know, we do the podcast together. So I got a little bit of a good rate on training. So started training with him, and I saw huge improvements just having someone there, having personalized workouts for me, or for, you know, that versus just going in and doing the base workouts of each class.
Absolutely. And, you know, I think that people don't really recognize that there are a lot of options here in Guernsey County for people to take advantage of this. And I know that the CrossFit community is excellent. I know that there's a lot of circuit training options that are available, a lot of classes. And that's our biggest thing from our standpoint at Reynovate, right? You had mentioned that a personalized program, and that's something that we pride ourselves on. Every workout that we give a client is built from scratch. Now, there's staple movements that are involved in things that you want to continue to progress towards. But like you said, I think that when you can personalize something for somebody's goal, it makes it that much more dedicated, that much more consistent.
Right.
And whether it's with us or with CrossFit or if it's nutrition, we want everybody to be successful. And as long as you're consistent and dedicated in reaching your goals, that's a win across the board, man. Right. There's, for lack of a better term, there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Yeah, no, there is. And it really comes down to, I think, on the, you know, on the person side is how much do you want to do and what are you willing to do? Because for me, I got to a point where I was like, I'm done. Like, I want to work, like, I want to get good at what I'm doing. And for me, I think a lot of people, especially over here at CrossFit, confuse me reaching not goals necessarily, but when I go in there, my in my head, to get myself mentally prepared, I look at who's in first place and I say I want to try to beat them. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but I think it gets confused over there sometimes that they're like, oh, you want to be the best. I'm like, no, I use you as motivation.
Right.
After the fact, I don't really care. I'm like, I'm just a dude that films stuff. Like, you know, I'm not trying to go to the games or anything, but
you know, if you have that internal monologue with yourself and you can be in a situation of wanting to be the best version of yourself, I think as much as people can live inside that mantra, that's where you find that true success is that, okay, how can I be 1% better than I was yesterday?
Yeah. Yeah. And I know for Britt, no, I'm just kidding. She looked at me, she's like, what do you mean? You work out, you have a good job, you get to pull some boats.
Yeah.
How is that going?
It's all right. I'm tired. I was not built for morning shift. I'll tell you that.
Oh gosh, no, you weren't. So when she started working here, she'd be like, what time you want me to come in? I'm like, I'll be nice. I'm like, 10 a.m. I'm like, just show up at 10. About 10:30 rolls around. I'm here. Okay, and of course we don't really have like
time out. I know for a fact I never got here that early because I was up at 10.
I was being nice. You're welcome. Or even then I was like, all right, let's make it 11, and then it's yeah. But she's always here for the podcast. That's the only thing that really matters.
Consistency matters,
right? Someone to click the buttons.
There you go.
Yeah, but and that, speaking of that, that's something too. I think I've fallen off of this last month was the consistency. I know you could talk a lot more about it, is you don't want to push yourself too hard to where you're overtraining,
right,
to a point, but at the same time you want to make sure you're not inconsistent with your workouts.
100% right. And it doesn't just go for the workouts either. You know, being in a situation where you can be what Angela and I like to call a B student, meaning that if you get 6 out of those 7 days in, that's a huge accomplishment, right? You do something for 6 days straight, that's huge.
Yeah.
And our bodies love homeostasis. And what I mean by that is, if you're doing nothing, it's going to love that we're doing nothing, right?
Yeah.
But if we're working out and we're making mindful decisions of macronutrients, for example, and hitting those numbers to make sure that we're fueling our body properly, it's going to love that as well.
Right. And I have felt that both ways. Right now I'm in the sit around stage. I'm in the early stages of relationship, so you're in this fun part where you're like,
the honeymoon phase.
Yeah, right.
The honeymoon phase.
But obviously, like before that, like single you is like, I'm working out every day. I'm going to be the best thing ever walk the planet. Like in your head, and then you're like, I got something now. Yeah, but I'm getting back into a flow, thankfully. But
that's great, and I think that I would say from May to September are the hardest months for everybody to stay consistent. How many vacations do you have? And running around to kids' ball games or getting ready for this, that, or the other, it's incredibly difficult.
Yeah. And I'm for me too, I mean, my schedule is really around the school schedule sometimes. Once you get to summer, you are taking these vacations, you are going to doing stuff, and you're like, you're not on a set schedule as much, even with, doing stuff. That helps with your gym schedule too.
Absolutely.
And I know this is just more on your personal side. When do you like to go work out? Mornings or nights or?
Man, I really wish that I could be that guy that wakes up at 4:30 in the morning and go to the gym and just knock it out.
It'd be nice.
I am not that person by any means. I'm an afternoon guy. Right after work between 4:30 5 o'clock is typically my sweet spot.
What gym do you go to?
So my normal 9 to 5 is I work at Bicon.
Okay.
So Bicon put in a gym for us,
right. Yeah.
And it's amazing.
It's basically a CrossFit gym, I think.
Yeah,
right? It's got all the Rogue stuff in it.
It's got a whole bunch of Rogue stuff in it: barbells, dumbbells, battle ropes, cable machine, lat pull. It's everything that you need in there.
Yeah, I've seen that. And now, when you're not there, do you have any favorites in the area?
In the area, I mean,
or in general at all?
In general, I'm a big fan of the commercial gyms, but I would say that there's a couple local spots here that are awesome to go to. I haven't been to the CrossFit boxes yet, just because that is completely out of my element. You guys would smoke me up and down that gym. But I would say I travel so much for work that I end up at like a Lifetime Fitness or an LA Fitness.
Right.
What was really cool was I get to go down to Houston pretty frequently.
Okay.
And I don't know if you guys are on the TikTok, but there's if you just look up Alpha Land.
Okay.
In Houston.
Huh.
Oh man. It is a weightlifter's paradise.
Really? I haven't seen that one. I've seen a lot of gyms there's like in Nashville, if you're ever in Nashville and you get a chance, there's a gym there and it's like right downtown. It's called Quantum.
Yep, I've been there.
Love that place.
Yeah, that's an awesome spot.
Love that place. Do you have anywhere else? That's the only one I've been to in Nashville though. I haven't really checked any more out around that area.
I found that one. It's like, okay, I'm good.
Right. It's nice.
Yeah, we're good.
And I went in, I was like, I need 2 days because I'm only here 2 days. Or like, just buy one. It's a 24-hour, just come in an hour before you started this one. I'm like, okay. So, they'll work with you on schedules and stuff too, which is kind of nice. But that gym's it's like 2 stories, maybe 3.
I think that you're right. I think it is 3 actually.
Yeah, I know that.
You walk in, there's all the cardio equipment, then you go downstairs, there's all the free weights, but they also have that back room, and that looks that it's 2-3 stories at least.
Yeah, no, it's a nice little spot there. I bought like one of the shakers from there when I was down there last time. But if you're ever in the Nashville area, that's the spot to really check out.
Absolutely.
And it's not too expensive either.
QNTM.
Yes. Yeah. Quantum with no vowels. But no,
that should be something completely different than
probably not. It's probably not even close.
Right.
They rebranded.
I thought it was Quantum, right? But they're like,
I think so. I call it Quantum, but it's QNTM. It might stand for something. I don't know. I've always called it quantum.
Well, if we're plugging you the wrong way, we apologize.
Right, just sponsors. Yeah. But what got you? When? Okay, so both of you run this.
Yes, correct.
What got you to the point where you're like, you know what, this is what we're like. What was your why, and what got you to that point?
So, I'll give you the very long-winded answer.
Right, that's what we got. It's a podcast. That's the best time.
Podcast. We got
best time for a long-winded answer.
So, I started like the majority of people started in high school because I wanted to be a better athlete, and that progressed from being a better athlete into I was such a lanky, awkward teenager, man, that finding that space in the gym to help with my self-body image issues was paramount, right? And took that from high school into college, and then would continue to work out. When I was working in Columbus, I got into that powerhouse gym that's right there downtown. Got with a really good group of guys there. That was a lot of fun to work out for about a year. And then when I started working at Bicon about 5 years ago, and that's when things really picked up for me, I'd say personally. I got a lot more ingrained in the workouts, got a lot smarter in how to lift. But then it got to a point to where I wanted to add as much size as I possibly could. So without looking anything up, I just Googled, how do you add on size? And I found something called a dirty bulk, which essentially, if you're not familiar with it, it's just eat 2 of everything that you can possibly get your hands on. And you know what? The thing was, Caleb, it worked, but it worked in the wrong way.
Yeah.
And then, as you said, from a consistency perspective, I have 2 boys at home, and then Ange and I are just running around, keeping up with them, keeping up with work, doing the house stuff. And very similar situation to what you were going through. Like, I remember looking in the mirror one day and just was like, oh,
yeah,
something needs to change here. And I think Angela had that. I think everybody has that moment of clarity to where like, something needs to happen. So I tried a couple of different factors to fix that didn't work for me personally, but I know that they've been successful for a lot of other people. But it was actually Angela that started off with this macros thing, and she just crushed it.
Yeah,
man, it was just something that clicked for her, and she looped me into it. We got more and more ingrained. We had an opportunity to get our personal trainer's license, our nutritionist license, and all these other different pieces of information. And then we were like, you know what? We need to do this at least as a side hustle.
Right.
And the community around here has been amazing. Man, it really has. I think that people want to see people succeed.
Oh, yeah.
And that's something that we're trying to do at Reynovate as well, is that anytime that we have an opportunity, and being a small business, it's not to the level that we would like to.
It takes time.
It does.
It really does.
But we give back when and where we can.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. No, that's good. And that's like the same. I mean, even to this day, I mean, we haven't been in this building the whole time we've been in business, but the last 2 years, you know, going on really 3 now, I think, something like that. But even then, you know, it was a lot of like, when's the payoff? When's the payoff?
Yeah.
When's it coming? And it's getting there, you know, like it's just a slow build. There's always sometimes there's like that one where you're like, oh man, this is what it was, or like but it's getting more steady. Like even like doing this, right?
Absolutely.
Even doing this podcast where we don't make money on it, or, you know, we just want to bring people in and get their stories. Wouldn't be possible without the money side. Right.
Right.
So it's gotten to a point now where it's like more consistent. The weddings are coming in. That's kind of been our bread and butter this last year, was just booking weddings and, you know, going and doing those. You take a Saturday, that's your whole work week, really, if you want it to be.
Yeah.
So it's not been bad, but we're getting right to that point where it's starting to make sense, metaphorically and literally.
So we've had since starting in January, we've hovered between 35 and 50 clients that we work with, which is an outstanding number. Obviously, we have capacity to take on more. So if people are interested, obviously take a second, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, shoot us a message. We'd love to talk to you a little bit more.
Oh yeah.
But it's one of those situations to where you see that growth, and it is incredibly exciting.
And I guess that you want to take on more clients, and you talked about this app that you're having developed.
Yeah.
How is that going to work with taking on new clients? Is that going to be available to everyone? Are you going to want to keep that personalized where your one-on-one interaction is with everyone, or is it going to be more, here's kind of what they want to do, or here's the style of workouts they want, and then it's going to be more of a push to a broader audience?
So it's actually going to do a couple different things for us. So first of all, it syncs with MyFitnessPal.
Oh yeah,
you're probably familiar with that from the nutrition side, but it syncs with that, so it gives us a real-time look at what your day and your week looks like from your caloric intake perspective, which is awesome. Not that we're sitting there trying to police what you got,
right?
But being able to see a picture and there's all this information that goes in. It gives you your estimated 1 rep max for every single lift that you do based off of the weight load that you're moving. It allows one-to-one interaction from an instant messaging standpoint, like it would for Facebook Messenger, which is great. Another thing too is that it does allow us to build a sense of community within the app as well, because there is a group chat function. So if we need a mass communication in any capacity, that was work. We were utilizing our Facebook group for that, but once we had the opportunity to sit down and talk with these folks from this app, we were like, this makes so much sense.
Right.
And just going in there and playing around and seeing the functionality of what could be. Like, for example, I had a client this past week that he's chasing a 1 rep bench press goal. And we started this about 14 weeks ago, and I went into the app and you could actually see the uptick.
Oh yeah, it tracks that progress through a graph. Yeah.
And I'm such a visual learner, and I love data. I could nerd out on this stuff like all day, but it's the functionality of all of that is amazing.
Yeah, and that's I know you said you haven't done much with the CrossFit things around here, but that's one reason I did like the CrossFit side. I don't necessarily like it for when I'm strength training necessarily, just at least like around here, but when I'm want to see how my progress is, everything's tracked, right? And you get to see those, that progression, whether it's a benchmark workout or even just a weight training. But that's kind of been my interest in CrossFit was, it's more competitive, you're around people that are obviously doing the same thing. So you're pushing yourself a little harder. But at the same time, you get to go back, and once you get more scores in, you get to see, here's how I did last time. Right. Let's try to beat that this time. So then it starts to be you versus you, and
that's how I'm motivated, honestly. Just being in a situation of how can I get better? How can I upgrade? What do I need to do? And there are absolutes in the gym, right? Outside of life, there's always like this little bit of gray area. If you're not strong enough, you don't get it. Right? So how do you fix that? And like you said, CrossFit has an amazing community. I know the boxes here are loved. And so I guess that brings up a really good point, is that we're set up at Reynovate to be in a situation to reflect what you need.
Right.
So if you like your WODs and you like CrossFit and that's something that really works and is successful for you, but you need help on the nutrition side, we'd love to help. If it's a situation to where your kitchen is under control, but like, hey, I'm kind of starting to dabble in like working out at home, like how do I get from home to a gym to it's
and even just having that the app that's tracking stuff, if there are people that are just going to a gym by themselves or are working out at home, now they've got a platform that's not pen and paper, obviously, if they wanted to keep real detailed notes, but now they've got a platform where they can see the workout, track their scores with that, and then just it's there, and they don't have to worry about it. They can see, hey, here's how you've improved since X. So, and
that's another thing too, whenever we were starting, was that we were thinking, how can we make this as streamlined as possible? So obviously we started with core values as to what we thought was important as to providing a training experience that we would want. And what we like to say is we're available 24/6.
Yeah.
We try to take Sundays off. That hasn't hasn't really happened.
You never know. You like to, but
you get into the weeds on stuff, or somebody has a question, and then, like I said, you sit there and nerd out on information, and then there's an hour gone.
Yeah.
So,
and it I get it. I mean, it's like, you're like, I'll be off today, and then you get a message, you're like, oh, okay, let's do that. Like, here's what you need to do. Here's whatever it is. So you're always available, right? You're not upset about it.
No, absolutely not.
You're like, it is good to have off days, though. I'll tell you that.
And you could probably speak to this more as well, is that whenever you have ownership of something and you're building this brand, for lack of a better term, you're excited about it 24/7. So when somebody reaches out to you with a question, or we get an intake form from a potential new client, where Hell yes, absolutely.
Oh yeah, and I'll answer wedding emails at like 12 a.m. You know, I don't care if they message me at like 10 p.m. and I just see it and I'm like, yeah, we can do. You know, they're gonna answer either way. I mean, whatever. But it's one of those things where if I think as a business owner, it's a different animal because you could be working all the time, right? You could be doing something, and versus like, if you're going to your 9 to 5 or your day job, whatever it is, you're there, you're working, and then when you clock out, that's it. For the most part, most jobs, I should say.
Right.
But, like, yeah, Britt said me. Yeah, you go dock some boats, and when you get off at 5, you're like, I don't think about boats no more.
Nope, I cut that customer service voice out.
Right. So it's a whole different breed when you're running a business, right? You're always you almost feel guilty taking time off, but it's one of those things you just you almost have to make yourself do it because you'll just get burnt out completely if you don't.
I would agree, and I think that with Angela and myself, I gotta say she is an absolute warrior when it comes out to being able to create content, pushing out the messaging, understanding how that social media marketing realm works. That it's just the presence that we have within the community is because of the effort that she's put in.
Right. And I see a lot of the posts. I mean, people share them. That's the biggest thing with Facebook too. I mean, you guys are probably all over the place, and we'll let you tag everything at the end too. But I know like on Facebook, like getting people to share content is like the biggest thing for a community. You know, if you can have people come and like it, and that's great. But sharing it gets all their friends seeing it, gets everybody seeing it. And that's, absolutely. I see so much of that just on there, just from people hitting share, like, hey, we sponsored this, you know, things like that. You see that because people are willing to share things that you sponsor, you know, whatever that might be.
Absolutely. It's I don't want to say necessarily trying to go viral by any means, but just the continued exposure within Guernsey, Noble, Muskingum.
Yeah.
The local counties call it a 60-mile radius of Cambridge.
Right. And it's, especially with social media, it's so hard to gauge where that progress is, or like how, you know, people are sharing our post, but not 500 people aren't messaging me about it, or, you know, things like that. It's hard to gauge how well that's working, but typically most people say, especially when you're running ads, which I don't run a bunch of ads, but some people do, or, you know, people aren't going to buy till the 6th time they see your ad, or the 6th time they see your name. I've essentially heard that, you know, the first time they're going to kind of just see it and scroll past it. Second time they're going to see it and be like, oh, that's kind of, what is that? You know, I've seen this a few times. Third time they're going to scroll past it again. Fourth time might be a different targeted thing, and they're like, I've seen this now, you know, what's this about? They'll click on it, they'll see the website, then they'll click out. But you got them to the website, right? So now the 5th time they see it, they're going to go and they're like, okay, you know, you've given them some interest. They've clicked on the website, they've seen it, and then they're finally ready to buy. They put it in the cart and they're like, I don't know.
I'm so guilty of that.
Oh yeah.
Man.
Everyone does it. And it's just a weird thing to do because you don't really, on the business side, you don't feel like you're making any progress, but really just that constant exposure, that consistency is really getting people to recognize your brand.
Absolutely. And I would say that it does work. Case in point, that we've had clients from Missouri, North Carolina, Georgia, Indiana. I'm forgetting a couple, but just the reach that gets out there,
right?
It's astounding. I think the problem that everybody has is just continuing to have enough content to push out, to have those 2 to 3 posts a day.
Oh yeah.
To where you are seeing people, you have, instead of one person seeing you 6 times in the course of 6 days, you have 60 people seeing you 6 times in the course of 6 days.
Right. And this might just be me being biased, but video content's huge right now.
Absolutely.
Just because a lot of people are doing it, but not everyone's doing it. So when people see videos from local businesses, or when they see, it doesn't even have to be professionally made. It could be your iPhone. It could be you just standing there talking on camera. When they see that, they're more likely to sit there and watch it versus like just a picture, just an image, just because they're like, in their head, it's like, oh, that's someone I know locally, or oh, that's the background's downtown Cambridge, whatever it is.
Right. And
it seems really professional to them. And so they'll sit there and watch the whole thing. And I've noticed that with like our weddings, they might not be even the same year we post them, But for some reason, when we post weddings, they always take off in like other countries eventually, which is really weird, right? So like even last year was kind of when it spiked. It was in July of last year, actually, weddings from 2020 were just starting to like take off, like had probably 1,000 views, whatever. And then next thing I knew, I woke up, like I was just like, look at our analytics on Facebook, and it was like, you reached 400,000 people. I'm like, what do you mean? And I was like, what did I post? What happened? It was like old weddings. Like apparently in these other countries, like they just want to see like Americanized weddings, right? Like that style. So like Ethiopia, like just all these random countries, Nepal, you know, just people just watching them, like, and they would click one, and then now that you have like 30 of them out, the next thing they're suggested is another one of your videos. So it is building a lot of that content up so that when it does take off, there's more of it to see too.
Absolutely. It seems like you could give me a master class. Some of that between.
Yeah. Well, if people tune into the OTR podcast, we'll give you all the tips and tricks. Not really. This is probably the most informative one we've had in a long time. Usually it's just us being stupid, but I don't know. The last few have been pretty good. Trevor, come on.
Come on, Trevor.
But this is, it's interesting because we do a marketing company too. Awesome. Me and Johnny Westfall. So we do like the marketing for like the Guernsey County Fair and the Hartley Company and Guernsey Health Choices, so stuff like that. But on that, we've learned a lot of just like the different styles of businesses that need different needs and everything. Because I can go post a video on a video channel, right? So of course that's going to work. But now when I need to post something for CrossFit, or I need to post something for the fair, it's a whole different audience. So we're learning and adapting that still, but it is really just figuring out what your audience likes. And all the YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, they all have analytics that you can look at and kind of see, well, this posted really well, why? And then you can look, well, 55 people hit like, and they were this age, or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's that business suite that Facebook has. You can get down a rabbit hole real quick with trying to figure out, like, okay, well, I posted it this time and it got this, so what if I post it this time, or what if we do this?
Yeah, it's all experimental, and then you find something that works and just stick with it. That's what I wish we could have done, because like as those weddings were taking off, we were still filming them because it was summer, fall still.
Sure.
So we would post them, and those ones people would watch because they were still kind of in the loop of our stuff. But then we had like our winter where there's nothing. And it's hard, like it is, you got to find a way to stay consistent with it, because we didn't post any weddings for probably 3 months. We come back to it, and it's there's still an audience ship, but it's not 500,000 people, tuning in. But maybe we'll see if it takes off again this year.
Right back to your point about consistency, man.
And that's, I think, the algorithms too. They love that. They love you obviously posting to their site, but
Absolutely.
The more you post, they know the more people want to see that content, so they're going to keep, bringing those people back. So it is everything's consistency in life, right? Mental,
Absolutely.
Physical, social, all of it. So, I mean, that's, if you didn't take anything away from today, take away consistency.
Consistency is key and king.
Yeah. And I'm going to let you,
Wait, real quick.
Yeah.
Is this your dream job? Like,
So
all this?
I would say that I'm lucky enough to be in a situation to where I love my 9 to 5. Not too many people get to say that, and I'm very grateful and blessed to be in that type of situation. Adding to the fact that I get to talk about weightlifting in a spotlight, help people with their nutrition progress. The best thing that I can see as a coach is just being in a situation to where, for example, someone tells me in their weekly check-in, like, hey, I had the confidence to be in a bathing suit this weekend. Or a friend told me that I looked good, or a family member said, hey, what are you doing? You look great. Increased mood, increased overall happiness.
Mood is a big one.
I think that one of the biggest myths that the health and fitness industry has done is to condition people to only find success in the number between their toes.
Right.
I try to explain it this way. The physique that I'm trying to attain is Dwayne Johnson. That's a whole nother conversation. But I look at it as a fact of, do you think that The Rock steps on the scale each morning fluctuates 1, 5, 10 pounds, and it's like,
I'm done.
I'm done. This is like I failed because of this. No, it's that consistency. It's embracing what is going to make you successful. And if you don't know what that is, that's why Angie and I are here.
Mm-hmm.
And again, there are a million different ways to do this. But if you're looking for a different option, if you haven't tried macros before, we'd love to help, at least educate you in the process of what this looks like. If it fits, great. If it doesn't, we also do this.
Yeah. And before we do get out of here, I'm going to let you tag everything. So tell us where to find you.
So we are at Reynovate Fitness on all socials. Pretty easy plug.
Yeah, fair enough. And that's REY.
REYNOVATE.
Okay. Yep. Just want to make sure people know. I knew, but I was like, it's a, yeah.
And it was one of those situations to where we were trying to onboard this, and we must have went through 100 different names. And we were at a date night coming back from Bear's Den, and I don't even remember who said it, Caleb. Mm-hmm. We were just like, Reynolds, how can we fit this into our company? Renovate? That's a word, right? And then it just clicked.
Yeah. Cool. So, well, glad you came on. It was very informative. I didn't know you guys had an app coming out. I'm definitely interested in it. So
it's super cool. We're still waiting to hear back from everything. It'll be fully branded, which I think that I am not a smart person when it comes to the tech stuff. So yeah. I'm sure that there are bugs and fixes that are coming out from that standpoint. But
right.
I can't thank you enough for the opportunity to come on here.
Yeah.
Britt, it was great seeing you again. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the opportunity to come out and talk about this.
Absolutely.
We'd love to come back whenever you guys need filler.
I'd like to get you and Trevor talking a little bit too. That'd be fun.
That sounds awesome.
Right.
Honestly.
Yeah. So hopefully we can get that man.
Trevor.
We can get that man's work schedule. I know he's tired. He's got a new job. He works all day. And it's far away. It's like Chillicothe or something. So I respect him for.
I remember driving to Columbus to and from each day, and having 4 hours out of your day in a commute is just brutal. So no matter what these guys say about you, Trevor, I know your pain, man.
Right.
Keep grinding.
Well, and thank you guys for watching, and girls. I don't know. I don't judge. I just know a lot of guys at the bar tell me they watch it. So, but we'll see you next week. Remember, OTR cast everywhere. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram is OTR.pod. And I don't know, if you want to, buy a shirt, OTRcast.shop.
For you, Trevor, cue the outro. This is probably one of my favorite podcasts so far. It's very funny.